to the David67 Celtic News YouTube channel. Today, Monday, the 11th of September. Today, a little bit of a preview regarding the current form and fitness of our first Champions League opponents, which will be Feyenoord in Rotterdam. And also a few news stories and rumours linked to Celtic developing overnight. Before we crack on, again, just a reminder, if you can, to like and subscribe. Have a wee go at the quiz question in the community section. And as we are leading up to the Celtic Dundee fixture at the weekend, the question this week will be centred around the Celtic Dundee fixture of the past. No concrete news regarding Celtic today. None of our players in international duty yesterday, Sunday, although there will be a few of our loaned out under-21 players playing tonight for Scotland against Spain, and tomorrow there will be a number of our players playing in international friendlies, such as Dyson Maida and Kyogo and Callum McGregor. Also, Luis Palma is with Honduras for a fixture against Grenada. And also a few of our under-21 players, such as Paulo Bernardo primarily. And we also have 3 players with the Republic of Ireland under-21 squad also. And we also should expect to see Yang and Oh playing for South Korea in their friendly against Turkey. And so quite a number of players playing on Tuesday who hopefully can come through injury-free so that we have as full a squad as possible available for the game against Dundee at the weekend and for our Champions League fixture the following week against Feyenoord. We already will be without CCV, Navroki and Abada and Welsh. Hopefully Hatati and Tilio will be back to fitness. And hopefully the minor knocks that Taylor and Johnson picked up in the Rangers match will be fully settled. To give Celtic as full and powerful a squad as possible for the game against Dundee. Now, reading some rather ridiculous rumours and stories that Celtic should be looking to sign Gary Hooper as a free agent to be our third striker behind Kyogo and O. Now, Gary Hooper was a very good successful striker for Celtic around 10 years ago, then having an unsuccessful spell with Norwich in the English Premier League, moving down to play Championship football for Sheffield Wednesday with more success, then went on a tour of the world playing in New Zealand, India, Cyprus, and then finally in Saudi Arabia. Now, he did have a very successful Masters tournament for Celtic at the weekend, but playing indoors football against a bunch of has-beens is far from playing at the highest level for Celtic in Scotland and in Europe. Having a look at available free agent strikers, the best option would appear to be Santi Mina, who a month or so ago was released by Celta Vigo. He's still in his mid-20s, has had under-21 experience for Spain and scored 84 goals for a combination of Celta Vigo and Valencia in Spanish top-flight football. He would be a much better option for Celtic if he was choosing to move to Scottish football as a way of resurrecting his career. And certainly is a million times better as an option than Gary Hooper. Some of the darkest days in Celtic's history have been signing old, over-the-top strikers like Carlton Cole, Ian Wright, etc. And we don't want to go back there. I think Celtic will strengthen the striker position in the next transfer window and the following summer transfer window. And in addition, we do have the options of players such as Luis Palma and Tilio playing through the middle. Yang, our South Korean wide player, also can successfully play through the middle. And so Celtic does have quite a number of backup options in case of injury, suspension, and loss of form in either of our two main first choices. One other piece of news relating to Celtic was that Hibs have decided to appoint Nick Montgomery, coming from Australian football, to be their manager. It would appear that in the running for that job had also been ex-Celtic players Scott Brown and Neil Lennon. And this will further increase the speculation that Scott Brown may well be coming back to Celtic in a coaching role to learn at Brendan Rodgers' and alongside Kennedy and Strachan, etc. I have, as I said before, think Scott Brown would be a good player to come back to Celtic as a coach. I think he has a lot to teach young players. I think the steel and organisation and captaincy skills that he showed for Celtic for all those years, his ability to break up play, his ability to get in other teams' best players' heads, was a very important factor in Celtic's success over the last 10 years or so. And I do think that younger players such as O'Reilly, Hatate, Holm, Kwon, Iawata, and even McGregor could well learn a lot of things from Scott Brown about how to play the role he was so successful in at Celtic for all those years prior to his brief spell at Aberdeen and then his season and a bit as a manager at Fleetwood. I, for one, would welcome Scott Brown back to Celtic in a coaching role with absolutely no qualms at all. One final thing to update on. Our first Champions League match is, as I'm sure you're aware, is against Feyenoord in Rotterdam. Feyenoord currently lying fourth in the Dutch First Division, 2 wins and 2 draws. However, they do appear to be going into the Celtic match next week with a number of injury worries. It looks like they will be without their Japanese star forward, Ayase Aouida, who was injured playing in Japan's 4-1 win over Germany a couple of days ago, an injury that might well open up a starting place for Kyogo or Daisen Maeda in Japan's next match. Also, they will be without their goalkeeper, Justin Bilo, and are expected to be also without their defender Lucerel Gertrudia, and will also be missing their backup striker Santiago Jimenez. This apparently does leave Feyenoord quite low in first choice striker options, attacking forward options, and the rumours coming out of Feyenoord is that they will move forward their attacking midfielder Calvin Stengs to serve as their main striker that against Celtic next week. Having had a wee look at Stengs' scouting reels and highlight reels of this season, he does look like a player who is much more comfortable out wide. He is actually a player with quite a lot of skill in terms of dribbling, getting into the box, but it's more of a creative player rather than a finisher. He is a Dutch international, having made his international debut around about 3 years ago. And is a good player, but would appear to be playing out of position if he is playing as their main striker against Celtic. And this potentially does leave Feyenoord there for the taking, for a point or even three in our first game against them. This is, of course, assuming that all our players come through unscathed from tomorrow's international games and also the game at the weekend against Dundee. But I certainly think that our defence can control Feyenoord. Our midfielders are strong enough to control that area as well, and Kyogo and our wide players are good enough to score goals against many teams. And as things stand, I think Celtic would go into the game against Feyenoord with a good chance of a positive result, be it a draw or a win. As I said at the start, not a tremendous amount of news currently, as is usual at this stage in the international break. But as soon as the players are back to the club on Wednesday, back in training, hopefully all with a clean bill of health and fitness, and then we can start to plan for the Dundee game at the weekend. So, thanks for listening and watching today. We'll have a chat again tomorrow. And so, for now, goodbye and hail, hail.